Hello, everyone. Today I would like to read a paper I just wrote for my film class. It's a film analysis regarding character in the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, starring Jack Nicholson. Now, this is the first time that I've seen this movie, and I watched it a couple days ago, and I've been thinking about it, and I wrote this film analysis over basically how character develops and what character is in the movie. Now, if you don't want to listen to me read a film analysis that I wrote for my film class at UNT, University of North Texas, then you do not have to watch this, of course. But if you're interested to hear the paper I just wrote, just as a little side interest, then feel free to listen to me read it right now, because I actually spent a lot of time on this and I like it. I've never written a film analysis quite like this regarding character, especially. But I actually enjoyed it. It was an interesting project, and it helped me look at film in a slightly different way, which is one of the reasons that I've been diving into film at UNT, because that's the direction I want to take in college. But anyway, let's get to the paper for those of you that want to listen. Character in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. There is an excellent psychological range of unstable characters in the film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The director, Milos Forman, goes to great lengths to display how each character has their own psychological problems, yet there is a seeming grander cohesion and acceptance of one another because of their shared predicament of living in a mental institution, as a result of not being able to function in society. The main character, Randall McMurphy, thinking it will be easier in the institution than on the prison farm he pled insane to get away from, changes the most out of any of the characters because he's a rebel who does not understand the power structure in which Nurse Ratched is at the head of. The power structure acts as a canvas upon which all characters are displayed and ultimately subject to, and how they deal with this realization displays each of their unique instabilities. Said power structure is well explained in a pool scene where the main character, Randall McMurphy, is in the pool looking up at a male nurse he is having a minor conflict with and says, 68 days, buddy, 68 days, in reference to how long it will be until he gets out of the institution, he thinks. In response, McMurphy, the nurse says, what the fuck are you talking about 68 days? That's in jail, sucker. You still don't know where you are at, do you? You're going to stay with us until we let you go. Another example of the power structure being made obvious is when Nurse Ratched withholds the cigarettes allotted to the patients when they do something she doesn't like. With the power structure repeatedly alluded to or shown plainly, the reality of the situation for all of the patients is made clear, that they are not in charge and have to deal with the fact that they are not. How each patient deals with their situation shows each character's uniqueness and weakness. The patient's desires, fears, instabilities, and even kindness establish the wide psychological range. A certain complexity exists, which shows the director's ability to not make characters completely black or white. The chief, for instance, appears to be a deaf. Let me fix that. I put deaf. A deaf and dumb giant of a man the audience is encouraged to think is unintelligent. But we come to find later on that he does not have a desire to respond to people, though he most certainly can, and in a relatively normal way. With the chief, we come to see that his unique reaction to his circumstances and the power structure of the institution is unresponsive solemnness. The chief explains to McMurphy that society and its authority system broke his father, and he's in the institution so he doesn't drink himself to death and doesn't end up like his father, showing a deep understanding of his circumstances that leaves one asking, is he insane? For other characters, their instability is quite clear because, unlike the chief, they are vocal about their feelings and become frustrated. Yet the director still establishes uniqueness and complexity for even the easier-to-read characters. One Mr. Cheswick is very vocal and loud when he feels something is unfair or he feels someone is being ganged up on by multiple people, showing his instability but also his compassion. On the most unstable side, there are many patients who never talk throughout the whole movie, yet even these characters the director shows to be complex in how the camera focuses on their emotional facial features, or their entire body in the case of a man who always dances. Another example of an easy-to-read but very unique character is Mr. Harding, who is often paranoid people are trying to insult or judge him. Harding even has the misfortune to have his paranoia on display when in a group meeting Nurse Ratched brings up his paranoia about his wife, sleeping with other men, and drawing the eye of men on the street. Milos shows that paranoia, add a P in there, is prevalent in the institution. However, it takes on various forms based on the individual. This paranoia is inflamed by the power structure canvas, allowing the viewer to imagine why they had such a tough time in society beyond the institution's walls. Which brings the viewer to the question, after a barrage of different kinds of instability, who in the film should really be in the institution and could not function in the external world? The fact that this is a difficult question to answer is proof that the filmmakers did an excellent job of making many unstable characters psychologically three-dimensional instead of a cookie-cutter-like design for them all. The Army lawyer Kirk W. Otto, in his 2017 paper, said quite well when he wrote, "Whether a sane accused walks free because he was able to con a panel into thinking he was insane, or an accused is punished for something he was incapable of understanding, the justice system suffers a black eye." And I've seen this to be true many times in my interaction with people and certain institutions. Accepting Mr. Otto's statement as true, and given the complexity of each character, let us explore this truth further in relation to the characters in the film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. McMurphy is in the institution after being in the military and committing the statutory rape of a 15-year-old. Not wanting to spend more time in the prison farm, he pled insanity, and it is implied that he was indeed able to con a panel like one that Otto mentioned in his paper. Randall McMurphy, it is made apparent, has beaten the justice system's ability to judge his sanity, regardless of how it turns out for him. Their characters are shown to be even complex and wide-ranging in their dimensionality when we learn that many are there by choice. The chief doesn't want to drink himself to death. A character named Billy is implied to be there because his mom wants him to be, which a skilled director as Milos apparently can imply without stating outright a person's motivations. McMurphy is there against his will, but only after he lies his way in, which the true nature of the institution is unbeknownst to him. One can assume Harding is there because his paranoia gets the best of him on the outside, and even more patients are there for their lack of communication skills. It is no wonder that judging the sanity of an individual is difficult, as this film displays with its variety of characters. There is an excellent range of unstable characters in the film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The director Milos Forman does an excellent job of creating dynamic characters with complex and unique personalities. Prior to this film, insanity was looked at as being less varied by many people. This film, however, makes a great story while bringing light to the depth of human beings, even the ones society views as cuckoo. Now, I chose this movie for a particular reason because I've been in an institution like the one in the movie, and so many details were just so spot on in the movie. The wide-ranging personalities you find in there. I was in a psych ward, but I was there because at that time, this was a decade ago, I was just taking so many drugs every day that my psychiatrist, and I was honest with him about it, he said, all right, either you check yourself in or I'll get the police to basically take you there. So I checked in, and this was like when I was 16, 17, somewhere around there. And, paranoia is very prevalent in a mental institution. And there's different kinds of paranoias, whether it's somebody like thinking that somebody else is always looking at them, or somebody's behind them about to grab them, or somebody is trying to imply something that they're not saying outright. There's all kinds of paranoia. There's also all kinds of strange behavior, like scratching your limbs up and down so deep that you actually make yourself bleed, or chewing on your arm all the way to the bone, or just muttering to yourself, walking around maybe with your head down, or looking into a corner or a wall, or staring into the mirror, or standing still for too long. There's a wide range of strange behavior, as you would imagine would be in a mental institution, a psych ward. I was the youngest one there, and I also was probably one of the most sane. A lot of people, you can tell, are just very depressed. Their life hasn't turned out the way they wanted to, or they just have chemical depression in and of itself, where they just have that natural chemical instability, which is very sad because the solution to that, if you don't have a medication, is there's very few, to put it that way. Not everybody finds medication for themselves. Not everybody can afford it. Not everybody can even go to a psych ward and afford that if they really need to. I think it's a service that should be provided for free to everyone in a country. But we're far away from that. But I think it would save more lives if we focused more on healthcare for all in regards to psychological care, because you didn't really choose to become mentally ill. Either you happen into it, it's a chemical thing you're born with, it's genetic, or many things have happened to you that you just can't deal with. I mean, some people put themselves in that position, but very few in my understanding, in my experience. It really does help to be around other people who are trying to work towards healing themselves in the same way that you need to heal yourself, though. It's something that can help, but it doesn't always. Sometimes people are so individualized or isolationist or just can't communicate with others that they don't heal a bunch in there. They just happen to be stuck there. And and state funded ones and government funded mental institutions, it's better because they're not trying to keep you there. A lot of the details as far as the services you're provided are less than privately owned ones that are for profit, but they're not invested in keeping you there. They want to get you out as soon as possible if they can, and get you on the meds that you need if they can. The ones that are privately owned, that are for-profit mental institutions, they have a motivation to keep you there to make more money off of you. So you got to be careful of that. Anyway, I wanted to just talk about the paper I wrote, and I read it to you, of course. And I wanted to talk about mental institutions a little bit. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to message me. Feel free to shoot down in the comment section below. Feel free to hit me up on Facebook at www.facebook.com/hunter.salazar. If you want to support me on Patreon, go to www.patreon.com/darkrealist, capital D, capital R. And on Instagram, I'm VeveMasta, VeveMasta. And I'm open to, anybody friending me or anybody, following me, and I definitely need more patrons. I would like to make this more of a full-time gig on YouTube and really making content for all of you. But, I'm very open to anybody's questions about this, even if you don't have, even if you're not having trouble mentally. But if you are having trouble mentally and you need some help, I can do my best. I can't guarantee anything. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been a little bit interesting for you. And like this video if you thought it was. All of you, have a great day.